Welcome to Heroes First Podcast, sponsored by Fund the First, the nation's leading verified crowdfunding platform for first responders, military, and medical professionals. And now, your host, broadcasting from Long Island, New York, Robert Garland.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining this week's episode of Heroes First Podcast. Each week, you will hear from a new guest that portrays excellence in the first responder, military, or medical professional field. If you are an active or retired member of the service, or even a family member or a friend, then this show is for you. I would like to now present you with our guest for episode 1 of our premiere for Heroes First Podcast, Steven Donohue. Hey, Steven, how are you?
I'm doing well, Rob. Thank you for having me. Congratulations on the expansion of Fund the First. You guys have finally hit it into the new media world, podcasting and networking, and it's exciting to see how fast you guys have grown. Truly, kudos to you and your guys' mission.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Very much. It's definitely going to help spread the mission, but we're more focused on hearing from other people with this. We want to hear what everyone else is going through. But before I started, I looked up at some stuff about you, and I saw we both went to the same school. We went to New York Tech. So, it's kind of funny, small world. We actually, with Fund the First, there's 3 of us that were alumni there.
Wow.
We all played baseball there. So what years were you there?
I got there 2014 to 2016. I got out January 1st of 14 when I left active duty service. I got my acceptance letter, I think sometime in that December of 2013. So yeah, probably the end of January of 14, I started up there, and I left, I left May 21st. Yeah, that's right, because I got engaged to my wife the day before graduation. So
oh wow,
it's why it's in there. So I graduated 22nd of May of 16. So yeah, I was there for just about 2 years. But thankfully, a lot of my associate degree stuff had kind of carried over, really made the bachelor's degree a lot easier. And then obviously you just kind of make it work. I was lost though. I was active duty service for 5 years. I had no idea what I was going to get out and do. And I was like, man, I'll go to NYIT. They accepted me. I felt good. So it was a great experience though. I got to say, it was really cool to go to school in the city after being away for so long.
Oh, so you went to the city campus?
Yeah, I went to the Manhattan campus.
Okay.
They paid more.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. We were on Long Island.
Yeah.
So we went to the old Westbury campus. It was nice. It was a great experience. I mean, playing baseball. But you went there. What'd you study there?
Communications.
Communications. Very good. Very good. And that was right out of, and you were in the Air Force.
Correct. I was active duty Air Force, security forces for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Stationed in Georgia. So really being in Georgia for the last 5 years, and then moving back up and being right in the middle of the city, I never skipped a beat. I missed it so much. I didn't realize how much I had missed walking faster and giving out directions.
All right. So you spent 5 years in the Air Force. What'd you do in the Air Force? What was like your specialty? Did you serve overseas at all?
I was a cop. Yeah, I did 2 years. I did 2 tours overseas in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. But my stateside gig, I was a cop, security forces. I was at Robins Air Force Base, which is the biggest base in the Southeast region. It's about the full area is 18 miles, and the population was around 40 to 45,000 at any given time. And what I didn't realize at the time, that I didn't give itself credit for, was how much assets, how important the base was. Because when you're younger and you're new, you don't really know what's going on. You're just kind of in the day to day. No one talks to you about this great assets here. This is what we do. We're responsible for this. We're part of the mission from this point of view. I was young and just like, hey, I got to do my job. That as I got older, more responsibility, I started to realize, man, we're really part of something. We're really doing this. And there's a lot of land to cover. Because there's always a great debate of, civilian cop versus military cop. Do they really know the same thing? But the Air Force is actually the only branch who carries their sidearms on fire, one in the chamber.
Oh, wow.
We're trained that way.
Okay.
There's no amber. For those who are listening who don't know what amber is one in the chamber with it, but it's on safe. We carry on fire at all times, period. And that's because of the training.
Right.
So when you see a lot that goes on in the news, and it always will come back down to training, there's always going to be different houses and schools of thought. But when I learned that, I took a lot of pride of like, man, I'm a pretty trained guy. It's a lot of discipline to know when to, when not to, and how to. And the great debate of you never know if it works until it's too late.
Right.
It's not something we want to do. There's a reason that we carry it that way. But great honor, great tradition. Chuck Norris was security forces, if you want to get into it.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
oh,
he
man.
was. He was.
We could start bringing up some Chuck Norris nice
my
jokes
goodness.
with that, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I'll drop one kudo for the branch, because the Air Force gets crapped on a lot, which is fun,
Okay.
Which is funny because the Air Force actually craps on a lot of other countries in their own way. But we invented defense in depth. The Vietnam War presented a lot of opportunity for air-based defense, and we created air-based defense.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so a lot of what we do now, even in tech, of how to have multiple layers, and it's the same concept. It all starts from some concept of defense in depth and air-based defense, having multiple layers of protection. And
Yeah.
I'm proud of that history, and I'm part of it. And
Was that something you always wanted to do? Did
No,
you always want to
absolutely
go
no,
into the Air Force?
not a shot. No, I only joined because I flipped a coin.
Wow. Okay.
The 2008, the recession was bad. I was a New York City iron worker, local 197, and there was no work. I was shaping halls. I wasn't making any money, but I was paying money to get to Queens every day. And it was horrible. So a friend of mine flipped a coin, landed on heads, got up, left, didn't come home.
Wow.
That was it. Yeah.
Wow. Well, let me ask you something. I mean, would you do it again? Or would you choose a different first responder, military, medical professional career?
I feel you know what? I would make better decisions. I would have invested my money properly. I would have did things a lot really different. The sex, drugs, rock and roll. You're 18 years old with a badge and a gun and a uniform, and just being from the north going to the south. It was all a lot. And you don't think of it's a lot, but I think I would do it again. Like, man, I would. Rob,
that's great though.
We'd be in Boca right now if I could do it again. I'll tell you.
That's great.
We'd be good to go.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for your service with that.
Absolutely.
That's great. Let's so I understand you're also you have two companies.
Yes, sir.
You're the CEO of Core 4.
Correct.
And you're also the CMO of Tech Slayers.
That's correct.
So let's jump in before we get into Tech Slayers, because I know you want to talk a lot about that. Let me hear about Core 4.
So Core 4 is a consulting agency. So in my background, I have an MSW, which is a Master's in Social Work, and I'm also a Master Certified Life Coach as well. And when I was in Fordham University, another New York-based school, very proud of that school as well, I really wanted to be a therapist. I wanted to be able to provide a lot of help. I used to run a nonprofit and done a lot of different things that always revolved around service. So I was like, man, I want to be a therapist. But the more I dove into the world, I realized there's a lot I didn't like, and there's a lot of rules to sit there and see, well, I must be diagnosing you with something to treat you, made me uncomfortable. And then it came into, well, insurance and who has insurance versus who doesn't, how much the insurance companies are paying these therapists. And not everyone knows how hard it is to do that job, to sit there and absorb people's pain for hours in a day. It's a lot. It is. And they get paid between $10 and $20 for an hour of pain sucking. It just doesn't add up. So I realized there's other routes. There's, developing programs, and there's working within programs. So I focused a little bit on both. How do I learn how to operate in a program, but yet learn how to design my own? So Core 4 is the consulting company, gave me a platform to design mental health and addiction programs, to provide treatment and provide coaching in those ways, those methodologies. So that's what I do. I take on individual.
That's incredible. I like that.
Thank you. I take on individual people, and I also take on companies who are having some struggles within their own program or want to start a new program.
Right.
So I've created my own mental health and addiction, substance abuse, substance use disorder curriculum. You could purchase from me. I could teach it. That's one whole aspect of what I've done and what I do. And the coaching really is focusing on a goal or a place in time that you want to get away from. And I work with you on that I keep it competitively priced, but I keep it priced in a way that people deserve to be taken care of. So it'll always be a passion. I'll always be a service first person, and Core 4 is always going to be like my heart out
That's
there.
great. So now is that national? Is that something you do locally?
I do it wherever. That's the beauty of doing what I do. Instead of having an office where, you just come sit down with me, I can do what I do with you right
Just
now.
like this, over the phone, over Zoom. That's great.
Sometimes it's better than other times, to be able to help somebody in Hawaii just like this, versus being able to sit someone down and hold their hand and be there and give them that hug at the end. Like, you really kicked ass today. You did a lot of work today.
Right.
So there's pros and cons, but what I can do can be done anywhere. As long as you're open in your heart and your mind and your soul to change and grow, you're going to get what you're looking for.
It's great. I mean, you have the military background, the Air Force, and, you're obviously a very smart person. Being able to correlate that to the people that, are also first responders, military, medical professionals, and being able to speak with them, it gives them that sense of comfort. And not everyone just wants to go to somebody that's, certified in all these different things, but they never have, served in a certain area, so they can't really relate. So that's great.
Well, experience versus education.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you read about an M4 when I'm telling you I've shot an M4.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, there's a fine line of respect for the education, but respect for that experience and finding the balance and being able to talk to people. I have a very unorthodox approach to everything I do. Even in my marketing, as we talk, when we talk about Tech Slayers, nothing is completely just template. Nothing is completely just black and white. It's how do we do things different that's not only going to save us money, but it's going to give the greatest level of service to people.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the focus.
Right. So how do the listeners know how to visit Core 4? Where could they go to?
Well, you can go to consultcore4.com. You can look me up. I'm very Googleable. Just Google Steven Donohue. I'll pop up on LinkedIn. Facebook's will pop up. I'm sure on Instagrams as well. It says Core 4 Steve. Core is COUR. I'm sorry, excuse me, CORE 4FOUR, and Steve's STEVE. You Google Core 4, it'll pop up. I'm always available. And Core 4 is also kind of where I released my first co-authored writing material, which is What Every Man Needs to Know, which is a book we can get into another time. I'll drop the link for you later, Rob, on that. Cool. And I'll throw you a copy. It was my first published work I had completed while I was actually positive with COVID last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Thankfully, I was able to get up and stop complaining about my man cold at the time that I thought it was. I didn't know I was COVID positive. I thought I was man colding it.
When did you get sick? When was it?
This was end of March of last year.
It's funny. April. Same time as me. I went down to Florida. We had a business meeting down there for Fun the First, and I come back on the plane after the plane, and I'm hacking up a lung.
Oh,
hacking up. It was actually March 5th, and I couldn't breathe. Horrible. I go to the doctor, and that's when all the COVID stuff started coming down. They don't have the testing yet. And they just quarantined me right away. And then they give me a test. They go, you have the flu. And I was like, okay. I had a cough for 6 weeks. They put me on 2 different inhalers.
Wow.
It was rough. It was really rough.
I didn't have that. And it's not even fair. It's almost like, it's just like comparing apples to oranges to some people where somebody died and I'm like, well, I had the same thing, but I only had a fever. It doesn't even feel right to bucket myself there. But my wife is actually a state registered nurse, and she had come home with it, and it just fell downhill. So we were stuck watching our children. They had nowhere to go, just us, and she got it. My wife had it pretty bad. I got to say, she's tough, man.
At least she's okay now.
Yeah. Oh my God. The thing that was a year ago. A year ago, we robbed.
2 week shutdown. Remember?
we got to flatten the curve in 2 weeks, guys. That's it. No, and now a year later, in 2 weeks, we're like, oh my God, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
It's wild.
This is textbook stuff we're living in here, man. This is some new stuff. It is.
And
and the saddest thing about this is what people don't know about. And that's and that's a good segue to talk about where Tech Slayers falls into this whole game, because
let's jump into that. Let's talk about
cyber crime's up to over 600%.
That's insane.
And it's not like, oh, Tech Slayers can solve that problem. It's Tech Slayers is telling you that this is a legitimate problem. And if you guys don't know about it, 47% of cyber attacks are small businesses, and everyone's trying to save small business. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
What is it in New York? SOS, the SOS coalition. Save our small business or support our small business.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is anyone providing you with any type of security? If 47% of all these attacks are going to you, 92% of malware attacks, which we're not gonna get super big into the tech side of it, but 92% of these forms of attacks are coming from an email, and everyone's checking their email because everybody's online right now. Mm-hmm. It is like
it's all phishing.
We don't
phishing,
even know
phishing,
what's
phishing.
Going on.
Yeah,
it's just incredible. And so Tech Slayers as a company, which we started as a tech education company, which we'll always have our bread and butter, where we have some of the greatest tech education computer-based platforms, self-paced trainings that I have ever seen, and it's one of the greatest catalogs that I've ever seen of just work and content. Our CEO Brandon Shake saw that there was a gap. He realized that because of COVID shutting down that side of the business, there was a need for something. There was a need of innovation. And as he started meeting other people in the industry, he realized that in the industry, there is a level of disappointment for professionals.
Right.
There's only so far you can go. Like, Rob, you're a police officer, but you're a police officer for the NYPD. You can't go you can't go rogue and be a vigilante.
No.
But in tech, neither are they. There's always a contract they have to follow,
right,
or they need funding from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Tech Slayers said, hey, let's be different. Let's just focus on innovation and service through innovation. And now you go after it. Find the problem in tech, create a solution. Let's change the world. And that is how it all really sparked.
So what's the biggest problem you guys have faced that you're trying to change?
Right now, our main focus is compliance technology. When I say compliance, we're talking about the healthcare industry, which is one of the most breached industries in the world, which is your medical information. And then we're also looking at financial compliance, education compliance, which is like higher ed. And we're also looking at our government contracting compliance, which is the CMMC, which is a new standard. There's a bunch of acronyms over here, but the government puts down regulations out of how they want data to be secured and to be moved around. And the cyber maturity model certification is the new regulation. And the government is making it mandatory that if you're not within those regulations, you cannot be contracted with the government.
Right.
So there's a compliance need. Well, there's no technology that exists that anyone's aware of at this time that can actually audit and take care of the need for all of the controls and regulations under that umbrella. That is a very, very important focus. Anything involving compliance, which is a $2 trillion industry. And all compliance is a fancy word of saying saving yourself. CYA, right?
I'm assuming you guys are working on some big time partnerships with
yeah, I could sit there. I could tell you openly, without going further than what I'm going to go, is that right now we are focusing on developing technology that is not only going to help the compliance world, but it's going to help save businesses. Did you know the average data breach is $8 million in the United States?
That's crazy. That's crazy.
8 million for a data breach.
That's crazy. When there's a data breach, you got to have one of those teams come in and they do the whole cleanup and they got to do everything. Do you guys do that also?
Yes. So you're referring to like what's called a life cycle. So the average life cycle of a breach is over 300 days. That's from it getting into your system, That's from it being found and then it being secured and broken off.
Wow.
So you're looking at 300 days. Most of the time, you're not even realizing it's been infected for the first 100. Imagine somebody being able to take your gun and go around the city for 300 days, and then you find them. You don't know what damage has been caused.
Yeah.
And that is essentially what happened with SolarWinds, the biggest data breach I've ever heard of.
That was recent. Yeah, it's
one of the most undercovered pieces of news I can think of.
Yeah.
And
there's more important things going on in the news.
Rob, I'll tell you,
Hence the sarcasm.
Yeah, there is a lot going on in this world, yes, and what isn't going on is people are not being informed of this.
Yep.
And Tech Slayers, in regards to their compliance technology, in regards to being able to effectively intercept issues within life cycles of these viruses, we have that ability, we have that technology. And not only do we have it, we're not focusing just on what we can do for other people. Our bigger focus is opportunity and entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
Our system is simple. We don't want to be going out and selling to thousands and thousands of people. We want to provide opportunities for distribution partners to do that. So hypothetically, Rob, if after your years of service with NYPD, they say, Robert, thank you. Here's your watch. Thank you very much. You say, I really don't want to just not work. I want to get into tech. It's the future. Let me call Steve. Steve's really good. He's got this great opportunity. What is this about? I say, hey, Rob, for X amount of dollars, you can purchase a license for a turnkey business. You have a tech solution. You're going to have the layout to gather your customers. All you have to do is collect a bunch of yeses, and Tech Slayers is going to do all the tech service itself. So you're not even providing a service from the physical standpoint. You're providing opportunities of service for other people. You have a license, you get a yes. We do the hard work and the heavy lifting. You keep it moving. That's the system. We don't want people to feel that they can't get into tech because of money. And we don't want people to fear tech and get hacked, have these data breaches. It's nearly 50% of small business owners say that they know they're vulnerable and don't know what to do about it.
Yeah, no, we know this firsthand. Obviously, we're from the first. It's a very secure platform, and the technology that goes behind it. When we started developing, it was the same thing. We were like, how are we going to afford something like this with all the tech that goes behind it? Luckily we were able to get it done. But no, we understand the hardships. I mean, what was your biggest obstacle that you faced with developing this?
I don't even know if that's a fair me question, because there's just it's just the credit of these geniuses. I couldn't speak stronger about the people that I work with and the people that I represent right now. They have created they've created things that didn't exist months ago.
That's incredible.
Just our data scientist speaks 28 languages.
Wow.
What's the point of 28? I can't.
Where'd you find him?
It's the diamond in the rough. I guess he's just our Aladdin. I don't know, but
wow.
We have several minds. Carl Klinger, who is one of the brightest minds in tech, the Linux Foundation, who's teaching Cisco how to run Cisco to Cisco. Stefan Chavez, who is one of the world's front runners in security, and just putting them together, just all of the hands in place. I just sit back and blow spit bubbles, and just is just amazing. Wow. It's you ever been in a room with like 6 like special forces guys, and you have this one guy who kind of was like a finance guy. Like,
oh, I've been there. Yeah.
Are you really in the same
absolutely.
military?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we all wear the Tech Slayer uniform, but when these guys get together, I'm just like, don't forget about marketing. If you need anything, the vision of the company, going on a podcast with Rob Garland. They're just the level of genius that they have shown, and the level of innovation that they're dedicated to, is one of the greatest motivators of my life.
Right.
How do you bring a future that doesn't exist to the present through marketing, through vision? That's the fun, And I don't know. Did you watch the video we called "Our You Do" video?
No, I did not. I didn't have a
Okay.
chance to watch that. I
Well, when
definitely
you
want to
get
check it out.
yeah, when you get a shot, it's between, I think it's 66 seconds, 67 seconds. I'm sorry, 77 seconds. It's it's really just a brand awareness. It's not it's not a salesy video. The only thing it's going to sell is motivation and inspiration. And when you get a chance, you
Well, where's that
take a look.
link? So our listeners could also know about that as well.
If you go to YouTube, you go to youtube.com Tech Slayers, or you go to any of our Tech Slayers web pages, which I'll make sure they're in the description. I'll send everything to you, so you don't have to worry
Okay,
about
yeah.
it. You don't have to remember
Okay,
it.
great.
I'm
I'm writing it down.
the video, it started off as we wanted to make a video to promote like our new product that we're putting out, our new technology, and we were like, man, I don't want to scare anybody anymore. We're so scared. There's so much fear, real reason to be afraid.
Right.
But we've been here before. So then I started doing some research. And I'm like, man, this happened years ago. We compare this to the Spanish flu. Okay, so it's happened before. So then we compare, the election to every other election. It's always just, you remove media, elections have always been bad.
Same way. Yep.
The quick history we
We
got.
could go down a rabbit hole with that right now.
Yeah, like if Nixon didn't sweat so much and JFK didn't know what the camera would have done, would it have been any different in that election?
Right.
This is history. And then we look at, the need for a vaccine that's there, great leaders, people of authority, the unknown, poverty versus poor people. Is there a difference? So when you look at this video really just tells you we've been bent as a nation, but we've never broken. You're what makes America the greatest country in the world.
That's awesome.
And that is
That's
the
awesome.
entire focus of the video. And it's not about, hey, I can go pick up some paper towels from Tech Slayers, or I can get some of the world's best cybersecurity. No, what it is Tech Slayers is telling you that there's absolutely no difference between you and I, because we're both working towards being part of the solution. If you want to make that better for you from a business standpoint, call us, partner with us. That's what I want. I want partners who are serious about the future, because unfortunately, what we knew is gone.
Right. Yeah.
And we don't want people to ever feel like they can't succeed in this new world. And
this is a great mission you have. I mean, we have such a large first responder, military, and medical background with Fund the First, and we have so many users that are seeing our platform. They're going to hear about this. They're going to hear about it. They have businesses. There's tons of them that have businesses, and hopefully quite a few reach out to you.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, no matter what, and this is my biggest thing, I'd rather you not come to me and know that you were secure than come to me just to get secure. Truthfully, it's not about us making tons of money.
That's a great point you just made. That's great.
Just
that's
please
awesome.
get a penetration test done on your systems. Don't trust your cable provider to secure your internet. That's not the case. The internet provider needs to be contacting Tech Slayers more than you do when it comes to just you running a modem in your home. There's a lot of misinformation. If anyone who's listening wants to just learn about security and learn about the minimum to do, the SBA from the government, Small Business Administration, they have a list of minimum requirements. We'll talk to you too. We'll hook you up. Get secure. Know what the threats are. You have children on Zoom calls all day long, sharing computers, clicking links. It is no hard job to embed a link in an email through a school system. It is not difficult. Most public education sectors don't have the funding to have good security because it comes out of the budget.
Right.
Guys, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't take risks. Contact us. If you represent a school board and you're hearing this, make a phone call. If not to us, to somebody who you want to trust better than us. Get a penetration test done, get some solid mitigation, some remote monitoring and management systems. Get yourself out there, get yourself secure. We'll take on any call that we get. We'll talk to you till we're blue in the face. We'll say words that you don't understand, and you'll say things that we don't understand. But as soon as you say, I'm nervous, I don't know what's going on, and I'm a little scared, we're going to step in. We're going to do something about it. And especially if you're a first responder, you're a veteran, you're home with us. This is a veteran-owned company. Mostly all of us are disabled vets. We're not even allowed to continue to serve. Our COO, man, just some of the people that we work with, multiple Bronze Stars, Purple Hearts.
Wow, that's incredible.
I've never been part of a stronger team of people.
I'm sure they're very grateful. Yeah, definitely very grateful.
It's the one thing I'll say, my favorite part of being involved in this team is that everybody has this willingness to just always ask this question: what can we do with this? And what are we going to serve? Who are we going to serve with it? Who are we going to serve?
Why. You want to know your why. What is your why?
Yeah. What's the point of creating technology for the future, but not creating a future for the technology?
Right.
And that matters to us. So be on the lookout.
Those assessment tests are so important. I remember a couple of years ago, I tried starting a website, and it was a nonsense one for something I was trying to develop, and ended up getting stolen by a big company. But I won't even get into that. It was it's kind of a mess. But I did an assessment to the website. I had a friend of mine do it. The website was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. And then they do this assessment, and all of a sudden I start getting hit with attacks. It's almost like they sent the attacks. And I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And I had to shut it down. Well, I had to shut it down because the idea was stolen, and we'll talk offline about that. But that wasn't a fun experience.
Nah. And imagine being let's see, okay, T-Mobile. They've been hacked 4 times recently. It was 4 times in the last 3 years or something like that. I'm a T-Mobile user, and they didn't tell me that. I found that news.
It's wild.
It's just one example. Like, hey, T-Mobile, you're just one example. And, and just so no one's thinking I'm singling out T-Mobile, SolarWinds is one of the biggest breaches in history. It's been labeled that over 425 of the top 500 companies in this country were affected, including American Express and Visa. And I'm sure all of us on this phone call or listening have one of those in our wallet. So there's a lot of information that needs to get out there. I'm not here whistleblowing. I'm here just telling you that there's already steam in the air, guys. Do your research, get secure, change your passwords, change your patterns. Don't answer emails that you don't know. Get pen tests, get security. Don't just sit there and trust the default antivirus on your computer. If it's free, it's never worth it. Just, be secure, think ahead, call an expert. You won't talk to me. I'm not a tech expert. My team are. My team is. All of them.
Great.
This
is great. Thank you. No, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. But we're almost out of time. I want to add one more question though, and it'll kind of bring everything full circle almost, because this is the Heroes First podcast. So you talked a lot about your first responder background, a lot about your military, your business backgrounds, a lot about your professionals that you work with. But what does a hero actually mean to you?
Ooh, man, that's a tough word.
Well, use yourself. I mean, all these people that you served with, they're heroes, when it comes down to it.
I think that the biggest struggle is heroism, an active heroism versus just a hero. Someone who's, I've always struggled with that, being in a uniform, like, you're my hero. It's like, the single mom waitress working, 3 shifts to take care of her kids because she has no other option. To me, that's heroic.
Wow. Yeah.
I was raised by a single mom who was, just heavily addicted to drugs and alcohol, but she still went to work. She never missed a day at work. I don't know how she pulled it off, but she didn't. And to some degree, that's heroic. To other people, maybe running into the fire, that Kurt Russell backdraft scene that everyone thinks of, that made everyone want to be a firefighter once. That's heroic. You know, I don't know. I think we're all a bunch of anti-heroes.
You said it right there. You know, you use your mother as a perfect example. You know,
I don't even like my mother, but I'll tell you, she did some things, man, that were very heroic. And you know, it's just, I believe that stepping away from the label of a hero and focusing on heroic action is an easier way, because a lot of people get insecure about being labeled a hero, but they don't mind getting the light for an act of heroism.
Right.
You know, because sometimes I am the ultimate anti-hero. You know, I mean, I was raised like under Stone Cold Steve Austin's umbrella. I don't know. But I would tell you that there's days you're not going to like me, but I'm going to do something really heroic and you're going to be like, that was pretty cool. So just be the hero in your story, as Joe Rogan would like to put it, you know. Be the hero in your own story. And as long as you're helping people, I got your back.
That's awesome. Wow, so thank you for that. Thank you for coming on the show. Everyone listening, thank you for listening to our series premiere of Heroes First Podcast for episode 1 with Steven Donohue. See you all next time. Thanks, Steven.
Thanks, brother. Thanks.
You've been listening to the Heroes First Podcast with Robert Garland. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from the show. Make sure to like, rate, share, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, make sure to visit fundthefirst.com and follow us on social media at fundthefirst. See you next time.